And he told me a word, I'd never heard it before. It said, you need to understand relations. And I said, relations? I said, what the hell does that mean? He said, it's the ability to create relationships and make existing ones better. I'd never heard that before. So I came back after he told me that, and I said, you need to even develop a relationship with him? He goes, yeah. And I said, what's next? He said, and so I got out, and we'd go to different tournaments. We actually helped each other warm up after a while, and I got to get to know the guy because I'd avoided him all the time. And I got to know the guy better and better, and I found out, guess what? He was actually a pretty good guy. I go back to school one day, and I'm back at university way back, 1984, the spring of '84, I get a call on my phone at the dorm, Simon Fraser University. And at the other end was Bruce Baumgartner. And he says to me, I pick up the phone, he goes, Bob. I go, yeah? He goes, it's Bruce. Bruce, how you doing? He goes, good. He goes, Bob, I got too much money here. I'm a college student, right? I have barely enough money for a cup of coffee. And he says to me, he says, I have a whole bunch of funding that I get from private mentorship in all across the United States, but I have to spend my money on training. I would like you to be my training partner. Would you come down? I'll fly you down. We'll train together. So here's the #1 ranked person in the world who had started developing a relationship with, and he wants to pay for me to train with him. Up in Canada, guess what we call that? Touchdown, right? And I'm standing there, a poor college kid, and I get the phone call from him. And all I want to do is recite this. I learned from him time and time again. And funny, because both of us ended up in the final at the Olympics. An estimated 650,000 people, 650 million, my apologies, watched the Olympic final. I lost to him one more time, the enemy. But the only reason I ended up in the final, because I trained with the best. So everybody out there could have a coach or a mentor. So guess what I did? As soon as I found this out, I started duplicating this all over the place. Next time I get drafted, football americano, I went to the best player. I sat down, and I introduced myself to the best player. His name was Chris Walby. Guess what? I said, Chris, can I go work out with you? I'd like to train underneath you. Chris says, come welcome. Comes up, shakes my hand with me, right? I turn back and I go, Chris, I'd love to. 2 years later, I win the championship of football. The only reason I ended up doing that because I had one of the best coaches. I had a great mentor. And lots of speakers this morning talked about getting a mentor. If you don't have one, how are we going to reach those new peaks? How, when I struggle, how am I going to get the guidance? So I think I'm onto something, right? Now I became the first person in the world to have an Olympic medal and a Grey Cup championship. In my world, guess what I call that? Touchdown, right? And how many people, I go, who are you working with? And especially on my females, when I do goal set, and I said, who's your mentor? And guess what they say to me? Bob, I don't have one. Who likes to go solo at it? I don't. So guess what I did? And I got recruited to go with your wrestling team. The next thing, they were a terrible wrestling team. A couple minutes later, guess what happens? They asked me to coach at 24 years old. Worst team in the country. 3 years later, I won a national championship with it. But I'd gone to the best coach in there, and I asked him, can I learn underneath you? He says, yeah. How many people would like to fast track their business and what they want to do? Would that be a good idea? How many people think it would be a good idea to have a mentor? See? And if I can get you one thing about that, I always believe the best investment, people go real estate, this, that, technology. Bullshit, right? The best investment you could possibly make is in you. And most people miss that. I invest everything back in me so I can perform better. I can be better for my family. I can be better for everybody. And you can energize everybody else. In closing, a couple things might be of interest to you. If you're interested, all I research is one thing. I want to improve my performance. I've given you a couple tips. Anybody who was there yesterday morning? I truly believe the best investment is you. You're the #1 priority. Nothing else, not your family. You need to be the strength for your family. Fair comment? I want you to invest in you. Second one, we only got time for a couple takeaways today. If you want to speed up your delivery on your excitement of what you want to do and deliver all your goals, find the best person in the world and train under them. It's worth it. You're worth it. And in closing, I got a couple of things to say to you. I've had this experience before, and I've done this every part of my life. And I found a person that I could work under. I'll guarantee you, if you build relationships and find a mentor that you can work under, you'll find out that you are the best investment you could possibly make. Thank you very much, everyone.
Muchas gracias, Bob.